With us now is Stephen, and he has a company which is quite interesting, and it has to do with grapes and vines. Stephen, welcome to the show. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
So the official name of your company is Long Island Vine Care. Okay. Tell us about that. You started it, was it 2011, 2010?
I started in the industry, around that time, 2010.
Okay.
And I had an internship at one of the commercial vineyards out east, and I fell in love. Fell in love with the vines, the way they grow, all of the little jobs that really ends up in the bottle, producing something very high quality. And I had the idea, people need to experience this not as like a one-off tour or a tasting. They need to live in it, like I was at the time.
Okay.
And so I came up with the idea that we should grow grapes in people's backyards.
So in order to grow a grape, you need a cutting, or what is it actually called? Is that what it is? You need something. A cutting. You can't just go to a Home Depot and buy a grapevine.
No, you don't want to get them from Home Depot.
Okay, nothing wrong with Home Depot. You can buy a lot of other things at Home Depot, yes, but maybe not the grapevine.
Right.
Okay, so how does that work? How does it start?
It starts off, they're propagated by cuttings.
Okay.
So if you can get a 1 year, we call them canes. The previous year, before they become canes, they're green, new shoots that have never grown before. After they live one winter, they have little buds all over them. And if you take a cutting and you stick that in the ground, and the conditions are right and you keep it damp and everything, it will grow into a new grapevine. And that's how vines have been propagated for centuries.
What makes the wine now on the east end of Long Island and the Hamptons and everything so delicious? How did that happen? It used to be potatoes only, right?
The soil is really ideal for growing grapevines. So you have the soil, and then you have what's called the mesoclimate, which is kind of the middle climate. It's not specific for every site. Every site has their own microclimate, but the mesoclimate is kind of the whole area as a region. And in going to other regions, even like the Finger Lakes and California and Virginia, places that are relatively close by, they have their own set of problems and we have our own set of problems. But with every problem, I shouldn't be calling them problems.
Challenges.
They're challenges, right, and they're opportunities. And so when you taste a wine from Long Island, it's not going to taste like, if you have Cabernet Franc from Long Island, it's not going to be like any Cabernet Franc you've had from anywhere else in the world.
I was wondering about that. I was also wondering, honeybees have a lot to do with the way honey tastes. It's because of the flowers and things like that.
Right.
Are grapes similar?
No.
How does the flavor of the grape from one region, change from the flavor of the same kind of grape from another?
That's a very good question. Okay. And we could spend hours just on that one question.
Okay, we're maybe not going to go that deep in this, but surface level answer. Okay.
It is you have all of the things that you can't change about your site. The soil and the weather in that particular region, but then you also have the year-to-year variances, and then you also have who's taking care of the grapes. And I think what it comes down to is balancing the crop load and balancing the vigor on each variety. You really have to know each variety.
Okay.
And then you also have to know how that variety acts in a certain place. Sauvignon Blanc that I have in Calverton is very different from Sauvignon Blanc that I'm growing in Cold Spring Harbor.
Really? Just
so
that
different.
Big of a difference?
Yep.
Interesting. Now here you have a couple of bottles of wine. Tell us about these particular bottles of wine. I mean, you worked them since they were vines, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, since these were babies, I left my business card before I even really had a business in this guy's mailbox because I could tell across the field. I was like, I think that guy has a vineyard in his backyard, but it doesn't look like plants are growing.
Uh-huh.
And he had all sorts of problems with groundhogs and disease and things that I knew we could work with. Got his vineyard up and running, and he said, Stephen, this is too much wine. I don't want this. I said, Pat, this wine is incredible. We can't rip it up. So I said, you know what? I'll take it on. I'll take care of the vines if I can keep the fruit. And he said, well, that's a fair trade. And so every year I get 1 barrel.
Okay.
1 barrel.
1 barrel. And how many barrels of wine is he producing off of those vines that you helped him with?
Just that 1 barrel.
Oh, okay.
He planted 200 vines in a little corner of his backyard. It's a perfect site. There's no trees blocking it. His house isn't in the shade, it doesn't cause shade in the vineyard. And I said, Pat, I want to keep these grapes.
So now you work with commercial wineries,
Yes.
and you also work with private, is it vintners? What would
Yeah.
be the word for that?
Private
vine growers?
Yeah, private owners, because I
Okay.
do most of the work for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and what is the work? Are you there actually picking the grapes?
Everything.
Everything. Do
Yeah.
you love what you do?
I do. I really, really do.
I mean, I know that you're like super passionate about it.
I really enjoy
And so
it.
I'm just going to smell the wine because I don't know if I'm like allowed to like actually taste it.
This
or
is
not.
the first
we had
one
a conversation.
that I've opened,
so
I
do
don't
you
even
do
know
the
what it
swirl
smells.
with this?
I should probably smell it first.
You want?
Oh no, it's safe.
Is it safe?
Yes.
Okay, so when you're tasting wine, what are the steps to that? So you're supposed to.
I love the 5 S's rule.
Okay, so let's go for
if
it.
If you have sight, so you're looking at it, and,
Yes.
this is obviously a red wine, so we soaked it on the skins. All of the color comes from the skins. You can make a white wine out of a red grape. So
You can make a white wine out of a red grape.
Yep.
Because it has to do with the skin.
Yeah. So
that's
if you get rid of the skins
Never knew that. I
very
already
quickly-
learned something
Yeah.
new today. Okay. And so what's the next S?
Sight,
Smell, right?
smell.
Smells good.
Yeah. So I'm getting like a lot of like currants, grapefruit, even a bit of cedar, maybe a little bit of dark chocolate,
Okay.
some tobacco.
Okay.
I hope it tastes like that.
Okay. And then and then what happens? So you're
Oh, then
supposed
we
to
swirl it.
See it, right? Smell it, swirl it.
Yeah.
And then what?
And then we
Sample it. Sip it. Oh, sip it.
Sip it, and then the last one is savor.
Oh.
Because what's very important is you get that initial flavor, but then how long does it linger? Is it pleasant when it lingers? And I think the most important thing is how complex is it as it lingers?
Okay, because this is for educational purposes, I am going to sip this.
Yes,
I'm gonna try.
cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to you too. It's lovely. That is lovely. Okay, now this is a blend, right? It's a few.
It's 90% Merlot, and
Okay.
there's a little bit of a hybrid grape that I've been growing for a while too.
Really?
Just to add some structure and some backbone to the Merlot.
It's delicious.
Thank you.
Stephen, it's really, really, really very, very good.
Good, I'm glad.
Okay, so it's the sunshine, it's the soil,
Yeah.
it's the vine itself, the first cutting, it's the growing. And so by the time you plant a grapevine,
Right.
when can you actually create the fruit and when can you actually juice it?
Yes. The timeline, this is where I lose a lot of my customers because
Okay.
it does require a lot of patience. It's a long-term perennial project. So if we planted a grapevine today, which actually this would be great conditions.
Okay.
Beginning in May, anytime in April is a great time to plant a grapevine. We would take care of it for 2022.
Okay.
And there'd be a couple jobs to do. Keeping it clean from disease is a really important thing. 2023, its root system would already be established. And depending on the site and how rich the soil is, would determine how big the vine can potentially get in 2023. There's a lot of times where it looks like a full vineyard in 2023, the second year, but I'm cutting off a lot of the fruit
Okay.
because they're kids, they're little babies. They have all this energy, but it's like kids that don't know they need a nap.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just like that, where they will produce bigger clusters than they will over the course of their lifetime when they're young, but it will starve them for the future.
Okay.
So we have to go easy on them 2023. 2024, if everything's balanced, I tell my customers we can expect a 50 to 75% crop.
Now, are you in the process of writing a book?
Oh, always.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, so I feel that your knowledge and your expertise, because there's only really one of you, right, could be replicated across the globe, but you do have a website and you're
Yes.
willing to take on consults of
Yes.
people that would like to do this in their own region.
For sure.
I love that. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Donna.
joining us. I'm so happy to have you here. Is there one thing when somebody's tasting wine, like a tip that
Yeah.
you would like to give them? What would that be? So they can really enjoy the process of it.
Go with your gut.
Okay.
Yeah, don't go in with any preconceived notions. Don't look at the label and drink what you like.
Drink what you like. I like that. And these don't even have any labels because they're just actually
They
new.
were just bottled.
They were just bottled.
Yes.
Congratulations to you and continued
Thank you so
success.
much.
For these fun experiences and more, please check us out on all of our socials. And we hope we inspired you to do a little, maybe gardening, maybe a little grapevine building, and maybe the dance. Maybe you want a grapevine dance with me in your own backyard. So stay tuned for more. We've been living it up right here. Do you know the grapevine? You know how to do that? You put your one leg goes behind the other.
Okay.
I'll have to teach you how to grapevine.
Yes, please.
All right, awesome. You're great. You're lovely.
Thank you so
and cheers
much.
to you. Cheers.
Yes, cheers.